Gundam.tk presents Master Grade Gundam Exia Ignition Mode. Hey everybody, Robert184 from Gundam.tk, and Gundam Exia has all been put together. Don't forget to check out part 3 to see all the parts. But now, it's time to turn this into that and see how it stacks up. Starting at the bottom and working our way up, you're just going to snap this ankle piece in here, which wants to send the foot out the bottom, but you can just squeeze that back into place. And then you're going to do the same thing. Make sure you get the leg in like that. And all of a sudden, we have Exia's leg with this kind of mobility. Because it's got the double ball joint down here, it can move like this and like this. So fairly impressive. And it can also move like that when you pull that out. Very impressive ankle mobility. Front to back, this piece is a little bit loose, but you can still get this kind of a forward motion. Next up is after you've put on the hip joint, which has slides here that I'll show you later for the swords, and you're just going to plug that into the waist on either side. And once you've done that, you get a set of spine click. You can see that this can move. If you see that slider there, you can move this up, and you also get another click there. And they're independent, so you can move the left and right legs separately. With the legs together, what kind of mobility do you get? Well, this is unencumbered because it doesn't have a side waist. You can get it up that far. Going back, you can kick it back, and if you move the side armor, you can bring it back that far. Going forward, you can move the waist armor up and get almost a full forward kick. As for the bottom of the legs, you can bring them out like this while still keeping the feet flat. Up until about there, you start to get them to raise up off to the sides. And as far as forward and back, if you want to keep the feet flat, fairly impressive. The more you move this thing around, the more you see new features, like on the front of the waist armor, besides it falling off sometimes, it's actually on a pin and swivel system so that you can swivel it forward, allowing you more leg mobility to the front. To put the arms in, it's not that easy because this is on the hanging purple hologram part, but you put the shoulder on and you can get that fairly well. And then you have to put the arm on, but because this upper body has so much mobility, it's really flimsy when you're trying to put it all together, or so it feels. Both arms on, you're going to be able to spin around no problem, but you can see here that this shoulder piece slides on and off, and though it's naturally inclined to lean in, it's hard to get it wrapped around that raised bump in there that you can see a little bit. As far as the rest of the arm, you're still able to maintain all of its movement, 180, and then for going up to the side, you're able to bring the shoulder up, but because it has this part on here, bringing the arm up is going to bring the shoulder up. So you're not really going to get too many natural looking poses while keeping that in place. And then afterwards you sort of have to squeeze it back in. Once you put the upper torso onto the legs and you get a click there, it's then time to put the head on. And the neck piece has almost no mobility here. And when you plug the head in, all of a sudden you have Gundam Exia. I think it's always cool that from such humble beginnings and leftover parts, you can build something like this. So right now he looks a little incomplete, and the reason being is that if you take a look at the back, he has a red cap on, which, open that up, take that off, and I think it's time that he gets the GN drive inserted. When you're putting this in, you're not able to turn the lights on or off inside. So basically you take it out, turn it on, try to make sure that you have both lights on, and with this you can get an idea of how powerful the light is, but here it is lighting it up. There's the channel, and you have to line it up. There's 2 pegs at the top, and if you line up the 2 pegs and push them inside, you can see the back engine flickering a little bit there. Then once that goes inside properly, you lock it into place, and then in the front is the name Gundam Exia lit up. So for me right there, even with the lights on, just having that the green glowing chest and the engine in the back makes the ignition mode well worth it for me. So just before weaponizing them, here is the spin tour. And I have to say that those green parts, especially with the light on them, look pretty impressive. Now where would Exia be without these? The shield mount just has a single point here that you're going to plug into this huge gouge here, gap on the forearm. Fits in there pretty well, but already there's a small problem because you can see up at the top here that the shield gets in the way of the purple shoulder line. Next, to put the GN blades onto the hips. This is something very different from the 1/100th where you used to have parts on. This is a little bit loose here on this side, but basically you can see there that it just falls out, and when you do that there's a peg there that you're going to bend back and attach the sword onto. I complained that on the other side it was easy to fall out, but it's sort of cool because when they're in, the natural movement of the leg is usually going to be covering it up so it's not going to pop out. But what I've done here is I've just pulled out the peg, and with the GN blade it has a small hole there that you will move this out of the way, stay away from the skirt armor, and plug it in. And these are already staying on a lot better than they do on the high grade or the 1/100th. Next up is putting the GN sword into the arms, and to do that you actually, on the high grades etc., you used to have to pull this down and put the hand in here, but in this case you're actually going to close the hand around it and then just slide this down into the forearm. So with the hand in place around the pistol grip, and you swing this down and lock this firmly into place, here is the idea that you get with the GN sword attached. Because he looks so impressive weaponized, I just thought I'll do another spin. But he really bulks up, widens out, he gets some depth because of the swords going out the back, and up the back of the arm there. And overall, he's been feeling very master grade quality so far, although the ankles seem to be a little bit weak since I put the weapons on. Going to have to adjust the balance a bit. Since he already has 3 blades on him, it was easy for me to forget to put these on, but there's a problem with this one because the blade of the GN sword gets in the way of that, but otherwise they just click on down here, and when you pull this up, if you pull it off to the side, you can still do the side draw. So actually having the GN blades on there don't get in the way. And you can see that the waist armor is a little bit fussy there as you try to move it around. Up on the shoulders as well, I don't know if I pointed this out, but they're on a swing, so that can come up and down. Now of course it's time for one of my favorite parts, which is the size comparison. On the right now, you have the Formula 91 Master Grade F91. Looks a fair bit shorter, but remember that this is only a 15 meter Gundam and Exia is 18.3. Now here's something that you haven't seen yet, but you can look forward to a special guest review of the Master Grade Infinite Justice. And this should be taller because it's supposed to be about 18.9 meters, and sure enough, although I think that this Master Grade is a lot taller than normal, or than you'd expect. Next up, probably the most loved or hated Gundam of them all, Turn A, and at 20 meters he is a fair bit taller than this. And finally, you might be wondering, why am I using these Gundams and not, you know, this one? But I have to say that the last time these two Gundams met, well, it didn't turn out very well for this one, so he was a little wary of showing up today.